up, everybody? It's Chris again from Fast Cars Live, and today I'm going to show you how to get the upper reveal moldings off the doors. We talked about getting the back glass out and those reveal moldings off the back last time. This time we're going to talk about how to get it off the doors. It's a little bit more complicated than it looks because you have to take the glass out, or at least drop the glass down in order to access the screws to remove the window felt in order to be able to get that out. Actually, what you do is the window felt's attached to the upper reveal, so you'll take the screws out of the window felt and pull the upper reveal off. That'll give you enough room to get the glass out, and once you get the glass out, then you can disassemble all the parts like we needed to do to restore basically all the window mechanisms, make sure they go up and down nice and smooth. So give us a moment, we'll get right on it. Alright, so what I like to do before I start is I like to mark the position of all the brackets and anything that's adjustable. Not that it's going to go back in exactly the same way, but at least that gives us an idea of where to start. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Just take a Sharpie and kind of mark out where they are. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove these two window retainers. And these things tend to go bad after a while. They have a little pad inside with a little felt strip on the top, and what that does is that keeps the window from moving around. So when you adjust them, you just push them up snug against the window. You don't push them too tight because it'll cause the window to be too difficult to roll up and down. You don't want that. So we're probably going to have to replace these, because if we don't and we put them back in here, they're sure to fail eventually, and we'll have to do it after we've done this once already. So next thing we need to do is we need to remove the rubber weather stripping, at least on top on both sides. And that's going to take a Phillips head screw and a body tool, a body trim tool. The two Phillips head screws are up here, so we'll get those out. And they're kind of small. And as I usually do, I'm going to save all the hardware, because you never know when you buy the new parts what they're going to come with. And if you're missing one little screw, it's a lot easier to just use something you already have, even if you got to clean it up a little bit. Alright, so there's the two screws removed, and these are pretty brittle. We're just going to use one of these little body trim tools to pop out. On the stock rubber weather stripping had a little plastic button on the inside that they just need to pop out, and sometimes this rubber gets pretty brittle, so it's hard to do. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do after you remove those retainers, before you start messing with the glass, is I'm just going to throw a little tape up over the top just to make sure the glass doesn't end up rubbing on the edge. I think it's also helpful to throw some tape right here on the corner. You don't want to take any chances that the glass is going to get scratched on its way out. Now the fun part. Now we're going to have to find the two screws. Actually, there's three screws in this. Also, because this car is the deluxe exterior, or the window and quarter panel trim moldings up top here, there are actually three screws that hold this in. It's a little bit different than the cars that don't have this. The cars that don't have this, you can just basically pull the felt piece out without having to worry about this. In order to get to this third screw, as you can see right here, the third screw is probably somewhere right around here. The glass is in the way, so the glass is going to have to come out. So what I did on the other side is I took out both sides, I popped the molding off, and I basically rotated it to give me room to work around there, so that I was able to get the glass out. And then These are not fun to find. They're pretty close to the edge, both of them, and they're a pretty small screw. But what can help is the little body tool again. You can kind of slide it in behind and get it to start moving away. And if you pull the felt off, you can find the screw. Sometimes the weather strip is glued in also, so it takes a little prying to get it to come out, and that is just as brittle as the other one. You can see it just falls apart. Get that out of the way so we can locate the second screw. If you just peel some of the felt away, the screws are easier to find, since we're not going to be reusing these anyway. Now I was able to take the molding piece, the trim tool, and slowly move the weather stripping away from the door. And there's these little tabs in the back, kind of like on the back side. When you install this weather stripping, you install it into the reveal molding first, and then you put the reveal molding on. Well, it's looking like this is going to end up being different than the other side. This passenger side happens to have 4 screws in it. So I'm going to have to try to get that glass out before I remove that weather stripping or that felt piece. That might make it a little bit more difficult to get the glass out, but let's give it a try. The next thing we're going to do is remove the window stop. So it's easier if you just loosen both screws. And then go back and take them out one at a time, so the stop doesn't end up spinning around on you. And there's your window stop. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen this track on the outside of the door here. And there are 3 bolts holding this on. 1, 2 up here, and the third one is down here underneath another piece of weather strip, or I guess it's not weather strip, it's like a little piece of clay they put on to help keep the water out. So we're just going to loosen that for right now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove both of these bolts on the left hand side, closest to the door jamb. We're eventually going to take that whole piece out so we can get out to clean it, and to do that we're going to have to get inside this cap right here and take that bolt out, but we don't have to do that right now. So the next thing we want to do is remove the bolts out of the window slide. So in order to do that, we're going to have to crank the window up slightly, and you can see one bolt right in there. The other bolt, we rolled it up a little bit too far. The other, or excuse me, nut is right in here. So we're going to go ahead and remove those. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is... That fell off a little bit easier than it did on the other side. So let's see what we got to do to get it out. Hope we didn't break it. Okay, so the moral of that story is be really careful. What we were going to do next is we're going to roll the window part of the way up, and we were just going to separate the window from this track, so that the bolts that went through the other side of the window into the track, so we could separate the two pieces apart, so we could get the window free, so we could try to lift it out. So as we were rolling it up, it separated itself and dropped to the bottom. So be careful of that. Didn't happen to me on the other side. It was actually a little bit more difficult to separate, to move the two pieces apart. And what I ended up doing is, you just, as you're holding the window, you can just put your hand in and kind of push away, and that'll separate the window. So let's see what we're going to have to do to get this window out. All right, so the reason that's proving to be a little bit difficult is I forgot one thing. We need to take this bracket out. Now, once the window is off, I don't know, this is not the order I ended up doing it in last time. We'll see. I hope I can get this bracket out of the car and out of the way. So let's see. All right, well, this is turning out to be a little more difficult than anticipated, but that's typically the case when you're working on these old cars. What I was able to do is drop the window all the way down in the door so that I could get to these screws. So they were really tight. So I used the old trick that I learned a couple of weeks ago that I never knew about, that your screwdriver is shaped like this so you can get a wrench over it. So I had to get a wrench on it, on the screwdriver, to get enough leverage to get these stupid things out. But at this point, they're on their way. All right, now that I've got all the stupid screws out, and as it turns out, that's probably a better way to do it. Get the window off the tracks and just drop it down instead of trying to take it out before you have that weather stripping out. There just isn't enough room to get it out with all the hardware that's attached to the window to make it work. So after I got those out, we're back to using the body trim tool, and put it underneath and just pry it up. And there's your trim piece. The way this trim piece works is like the back side. They have these little tabs that stick through. You can see the little tabs. They go through the little holes, and then you'll bend them back. So what you'll do is you'll install the felt strip onto the reveal molding before you put it on the car, and then you'll just put your screws through the 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's what will hold the trim piece onto the door. All right, it looks like we're going to have to remove this bracket, this inner track, in order to get the window out. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna have to remove this plug, which wasn't fun to remove on the other side. All right, not too bad that time. Again, your body trim tool. Well, this window is proving to be extremely uncooperative. So I guess we're just going to keep trying until we get it out of there. I think I've gotten everything pretty much loosened. I removed that bracket again. I think that's what has been holding it up. The window needs to slide up and out of that bracket. So I loosened it up so I have more room to move it around, and I'm just going to try it again. Alright guys, so I ended up struggling a bunch with this window, and it wasn't a whole lot of fun, which is kind of the reason why I wanted to make this video. I ran into some problems. I'm going to show you here in 1 second what the problem was that I ran into, so hopefully you guys won't run into it yourself. So what ended up happening, and I'm going to go over here and show you, is I didn't remove this stop right here. When the window rolls all the way up, this stop is to prevent, or is to adjust the window and the height and how high the window can roll up. So when you try to pull the window out of the track, the stop prevents it from coming out. So to solve that problem, all you have to do is loosen this nut and slide the stop out, and then this will slide all the way out, and that will allow you to get your window out. So let me show you how you would do this. This piece right here goes in on the inside of the window is that piece that was attached in here. So when that piece is attached, when the window is rolled all the way up, you'll be able to see that stop and access that stop through that hole right there. I know it's a little bit of a small hole, but as long as you can get a wrench in there or a socket in there to loosen that, you can slide it up. Even if it slides all the way down to the bottom of the door, as you can see, you'll be able to get to it pretty easy. So hopefully that has saved you guys a little bit of time. Alright guys, so we're done, and that was painful. It was a little more of a struggle than we thought, or than I thought. I had actually done some research on how to get the glass out and watched some videos, and it looks really easy on the video. It's not really easy. There's other videos out there. The reason I wanted to make this video was so that you could see the mistakes that I would make, and I knew I would. And fortunately I figured out a solution, and as you saw, you just gotta remove that stop, and it made it a lot easier to come out, even easier than the other side. So thanks again for watching. Please follow the Project JPS build on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. If you like this video, if it saved you some time, please give us a big thumbs up. Please subscribe and hit that notification button. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time. Appreciate you watching.